While flying over a remote area, pilot Jack noticed a strange sight below, a group of animals running in circles. Intrigued by the unusual behavior, he decided to land nearby to get a closer look. As he got closer to the animals, his stomach dropped. What he discovered upon landing forced him to call the police immediately. 911, what's your emergency? A voice said on the other end of the line. Jack hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to describe what he was seeing. I think I need the police, he said uncertainly. When the dispatcher paused briefly, Jack knew he had to explain the situation more, but he also knew the dispatcher would never believe him. All right, I have your location. Police are on their way, the dispatcher eventually said. Jack sighed in relief, but as he hung up the phone, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his back, and everything turned black. When he woke up again, his face was cold from lying in the snow for a long time, and his body ached. The pain was nothing compared to what he saw around him. His eyes grew wide with shock as he slowly got up and turned in a circle. His heart raced as he hoped the police would get to his location sooner rather than later. But why were the animals running in circles? What had hit Jack in the back, and what did he see when he woke up? Before we start our story, smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Jack was a hobby pilot and owner of his own helicopter. Every weekend he would fly around, enjoying the views. But this time, he saw much more than just a beautiful sky and a pretty horizon. As he looked down into one of the snowy fields, he saw what looked like a large hole. But as he lowered his helicopter, he saw that it was actually moving around. Jack knew he had to see more, so he lowered his helicopter a little further. That was when he realized it was actually a large group of animals running in circles. Jack had never seen anything like this, and he wondered what could cause such strange behavior. He quickly located an open spot and began his landing. He just had to know more about this. After landing his plane perfectly, Jack walked to the place where he had seen the animals. He could hear their hooves hitting the ground as they ran at full speed, even before he was close enough to see them. Finally, he stood face to face with the group of animals, and he gasped loudly. It was a group of deer, larger than he had ever seen before. The group of deer ran perfectly in sync, all with frightened looks on their faces. Jack tried to walk closer to them in the hopes of making them stop for a moment, but they straight up ignored him. It was like they were in a trance. Suddenly, Jack spotted something in the middle of the circle. His eyes grew wide in shock as he scrambled for his phone and dialed 911. Jack wasn't sure what to tell the dispatcher. He wanted it to sound believable so they would send the police, but he also knew how strange this situation was. "I have found something that I believe needs the police's attention," he eventually said. His voice was urgent with a slight tremor of fear. Fortunately, that worked in his favor. As he hung up the phone, Jack suddenly felt a sharp pain in his back. He fell to the ground and everything turned black. He had no idea how long he had been knocked out on the ground, but when he woke up again, one side of his face was numb from the cold, and his clothes were soaked because of the snow. Groaning, Jack pushed himself up from the cold, snow-covered ground. His head pounded, and as he touched the side of his face, he felt the sticky wetness of blood. Trying to stand, his legs wobbled, barely able to support his weight. Snowflakes danced around him, blurring his vision as he squinted, trying to make sense of the white expanse stretching endlessly. Jack wiped his forehead, smearing the blood mixed with snow. The world spun as he attempted to orient himself. Snow crunched under his feet, the sound muffled by the thick blanket covering the landscape. His eyes struggled to focus, scanning the horizon for any sign of shelter or safety, but all he saw was the endless swirl of white. A sudden rush of movement caught Jack's eye. He dodged just in time as a deer sprinted past him, its hooves kicking up clouds of snow. The near miss snapped him to the harsh reality of his situation. He was in the middle of nowhere, caught in a situation far beyond a simple fall, the cold bit at his exposed skin offering no reprieve from the shock. The sound of hooves pounding the ground became a constant echo around him. More deer dashed by, their eyes wide with fright. Jack realized he was in the path of a stampede. Panic surged as he looked for an escape, but the animals moved too fast, their numbers too great. He was an intruder in their wild rush, vulnerable and alone. Despite the throbbing pain in his head and the numbing cold, Jack knew he couldn't stay still. He glanced around, spotting a cluster of trees nearby. With all the strength he could muster, he started moving towards it, hoping it would offer some protection from the relentless stampede. Each step was a battle against the snow and his own dizziness, but he pushed forward, determined to find safety. As Jack reached the tree line, a deer burst through the brush, nearly colliding with him. The close call snapped him into a heightened state of alertness. He scanned his surroundings, realizing the forest might offer some cover. Dodging between trees, he tried to remain quiet as the sound of the stampede grew louder. Survival felt uncertain, and he needed to act quickly. Observing the deer's movements, Jack searched for patterns in the chaos to gain an advantage. Attempting to navigate through the trees, Jack aimed for what seemed like a safe path. However, the stampede's unpredictability proved overwhelming. A deer sideswiped him, sending him tumbling to the snowy ground. Pain radiated from his shoulder, a stark reminder of his vulnerability in this wild environment. Despite the agony, he forced himself up, leaning against a tree for support. The sounds of the stampede echoed relentlessly, urging him to move. Catching his breath, Jack noticed a rhythm in the chaos. Spotting a less dense area within the stampede, he identified a potential path to safety. Timing his move carefully, he waited for a gap to appear. When the moment came, Jack sprinted with all his might toward the center, dodging the startled deer. His determination to survive drove him forward. Reaching the calmer center, Jack allowed himself a moment to breathe. The frenzy of the stampede was now distant, though the center's deceptive calm hinted at unknown dangers. For a brief moment, he felt safe, but a flicker of memory unsettled him. He had seen someone before the chaos unfolded. Panic surged as the silence became ominous. Turning in place, Jack scanned the trees, his heart pounding with fear. The stillness made Jack realize that the true danger might be closer than he thought. Scanning the area, he spotted a huddled form near a tree. Cautiously approaching, he saw it was an unconscious man. Kneeling beside him, Jack confirmed he was alive, but injured. The man's presence reinforced the severity of their predicament. Driven by a sense of responsibility, Jack decided to help. Searching for a makeshift stretcher, he prepared to move the man to safety. He noticed the man's injuries were not solely from the stampede. There were older bruises and cuts. Jack's mind raced, wondering what had happened to him before this chaos. Despite the risks, Jack couldn't abandon the man. Determined, he resolved to get them both out of danger, knowing they had to rely on each other to survive. Jack started dragging the injured man towards the center of the circle, a place he deemed safer. Every movement was calculated, ensuring they remained as hidden as possible. The snowy terrain made the task difficult, but Jack pressed on, wondering who the man was and how he ended up in this chaos. These unanswered questions added an air of mystery to their perilous situation. Reaching a relatively secure spot, Jack tore pieces from his clothing to create makeshift bandages. Wrapping the man's wounds, he improvised to protect against the cold and bleeding. This act of compassion highlighted Jack's determination to help, even as their situation grew dire. A silent bond began to form between them, a testament to the power of human connection in adversity. Jack worked tirelessly to fortify their shelter, piling snow for insulation and gathering branches to shield against the cold. Time felt critical as the frigid air seeped into their makeshift refuge. The injured man stirred slightly, murmuring faintly. This small sign of life renewed Jack's determination to keep going. Noticing the deer's behavior change, Jack observed their circling slow, offering a glimmer of hope. The possibility of a rescue team approaching crossed his mind, and he listened intently for any sound of help. The distant wail of sirens finally broke the silence, signaling the arrival of rescuers. Jack's heart surged with hope, the sound driving him to continue protecting and comforting the man. As the sirens grew louder, Jack reflected on their ordeal. The experience had tested their limits, revealing an inner strength neither of them knew they possessed. Gratitude filled him, not only for the approaching rescue but also for the resilience that had kept them alive. When the rescuers arrived, Jack whispered reassurances to the injured man, promising that safety was near. Their shared struggle, marked by fear and perseverance, had forged an unspoken bond, a testament to the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. As the rescue team approached, the deer began to part, creating a clear path for the rescuers to reach Jack and the injured man. This extraordinary behavior left Jack in awe, hinting at a mysterious bond between the animals and the humans they seemed to protect. The arrival of the rescue team brought swift relief. Paramedics immediately tended to the injured man, while police officers ensured Jack's safety and gathered details about the ordeal. The shift from chaos to professional care felt surreal but comforting. The scene of the parting deer and the efficient rescue was a rare moment where nature and humanity seemed to align. The deer's deliberate actions served as a powerful reminder of unseen bonds that connect all living beings. The injured man, regaining consciousness, revealed he was a local deer farmer. He explained that the stampede was a protective response to a wolf threat, an instinctive act by the deer to shield him. This revelation shed light on the mysterious behavior of the animals and deepened Jack's understanding of their bond. As the deer cautiously approached their caretaker, gently nudging him to check his well-being, the connection between the farmer and his animals became evident. This touching interaction, observed by all, demonstrated the profound relationship between humans and wildlife. For Jack, this moment highlighted the capacity for empathy and protection that transcends species, encouraging reflection on humanity's relationship with the natural world. Grateful for Jack's help, the farmer extended an invitation to visit his farm, symbolizing a gesture of gratitude and an offer of friendship forged through shared adversity. This marked a warm conclusion to their ordeal, contrasting sharply with the chaos they had endured. As the rescue team ensured everyone's safety, Jack reflected on the day's events. He considered the courage it took to face danger, the dual role of nature as both a threat and a protector, and the friendships born from necessity. Despite the challenges, the experience left Jack inspired by the resilience and unexpected bonds that emerged. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always room for hope, light, and new beginnings. And so Jack's journey came to an end. A journey that began with unimaginable danger and turned into a profound lesson about resilience, humanity, and the unique connection between humans and nature. What Jack faced was not just a test of survival, but a transformative experience that revealed how even in the darkest moments, unexpected bonds can spark hope and open doors to new possibilities. If you enjoyed this thrilling and inspiring story, don't forget to support us by subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications so you won't miss more captivating stories like this. Share your thoughts in the comments. What lessons did you take away from this story? See you in the next video.